Which one? Mm-hmm. Any meeting it is unmuted. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It was the same thing. Okay, I have showed you right the mileage calculation. How to override this method by redefining. Okay. So this is how. Okay. Okay. So I have shown you how to override the method. Okay. So in the inheritance, whatever you have in the superclass, you are able to override it in the subclass. Okay, the same principle was followed in the floor plan manager. Okay, so floor plan manager is nothing different than a other webdrive pro component. Okay, it is a webdrive pro component which was designed in a way that it will display the layouts given to it. Okay, so how it is going to give display, that is the question. Okay, so we have different types of floor plan. Okay, so each of them have a peculiar way of displaying the values. Okay, your OVP page will be like this, something like this. Okay, or some sort of layout like this. Even you can have like this if you are having 2 column or 3 column, it depends again. Okay, your OVP component was designed in a way like to display WebDen Pro components provided to it in form of tiles. Okay, so that is what that component was designed to. Okay, then OAF component display the data in the form of tabs, tab pages. OAF and GIF will be displaying in the form of roadmap. Okay, so today we will take a look into uh, OVP component. Okay, if possible, we will do the three. It won't take much time. Okay, because it's just the way we are going to display it, nothing more. So to use this to use in the floor plan manager component, I have created some WebDrain Pro component. I will just show you them. It was not there. Okay, I'm just creating a component called form. Now, this is called as freestyle UIBB. Okay, why? Because I am creating my own WebDrain Pro component and I am using it in the floor plan manager. Okay, so it is called as a freestyle. So when I am creating a own WebDrain Pro component, I am free to do anything with the component. Okay, but while designing component, you should have one thing in your mind. Okay, so there should be only one view within a window. Okay, you know what is interface view, right? Okay, so when you create a WebDrain Pro component, particularly when a window is being created, a interface view will be created with the same name. Okay, so a interface view is nothing but a combination of window and a view which is displayed in that. Okay, now I will tell you about something called delta rendering. Okay, So if you remember, during the introduction session, I have told you about this delta rendering, which means load only the page that is going to be displayed. Okay, suppose if I'm going to have 10 views within a window, what will happen when my window is being loaded? Even though only one view is going to get displayed, all other 10 views will be loaded internally. Okay, so this is against the framework rule. Okay, so we should ensure that when you are creating in an interface view is called as UIBBs, which is the one that is going to get displayed in the screen. Okay, so when you are creating a window, there should be only one view in the window. If you are going to have 10 view, then you should have 10 windows. Okay, that is how you ensure that you are not restricting the process of delta rendering. Okay, in this way you are ensuring the performance. Okay, the other important thing is that for a WebDrive Pro component to participate in the floor plan manager application, it should implement an interface. Okay, this interface forms as the bridge between the floor plan manager framework and our WebDrive Pro component. Okay, so I'm just going to implement an interface. The name of the interface is if underscore fpm underscore ui underscore building block. Okay, so I have just added the interface, and I am clicking on implement. Okay, now if you see here in the component controller, I would have received those interface methods, okay, belonging to this particular component. So now if I wanted to code something for the FPM in the component, then I have to use this particular interface methods. Oh, okay. So what I will do, I will put a breakpoint everywhere. So this is just I'm showing for you to understand the flow. Because if you remember the other day I have explained you all these 5 methods. Flush, need confirmation, and process event or PAI methods. PBO is the PBO method. In case of if process event is failed, then after failed event will be triggered. Okay. Now in the view I'm just going to create a simple form. So just I'm just designing a simple WebDrive Pro component here, nothing more. I'm setting some default value. Actually, you should never use select statement within web app component. Okay, this is just for example purpose. That is why I am just directly using it. Now, how do we execute this component? Execute it, right? But here now we are not going to create the application. Okay, so I will create two other components of same type. Just make sure that you implement this interface. Okay, so what I have done is I have created three WebDrain Pro components. Okay, so now these three components I'm going to display in a three different ways using the floor plan manager components. Okay, so first we will see how I'm going to display it using the OVP. Okay, open the WebDrain Pro component for OVP FPM underscore OVP underscore component. Okay, so there were three components. One is FPM underscore OVP underscore component. Then another one is FPM underscore OAF underscore component. Then the third one is FPM underscore GAF underscore component. Okay, so we have the three typical type of floor plans. So first we will see OVP component. Okay, so basically what the application means, application specific which WebDrain Pro component we are triggering, right? Now we will be creating application for OVP component. Okay, so in the application configuration we provide that you use this particular components. Okay, I will show you that. So I'm just creating a application for OVP component. So this is something you know, right? When we are creating an application, we have to provide the interface view and default plug. So now I have created my application for OVP component. Okay. Now we have this architecture FPM underscore OVP underscore component. Okay. So we created an application for that. Now when this application gets triggered, it will call this OVP component. Okay. Now the purpose of this OVP component is to display the UIBBs in the form of tiles. Okay. Now I have to specify what are the UIBBs it has to display. Where will I specify it? Okay. So what I'm going to do, this is my standard FPM application. I'm going to create a configuration for this. I'm going to create an application configuration for okay. Here I specify what are the UIBBs to load. Okay. I mean, what are the UIBBs this FPM component should use to display? Okay. So first we will go on create the application configuration. Just locate your FPM application wherever it is. Yeah, it's not saved yet. Okay, just right click on the application and click on create or change configuration. Okay, so we have came to the page where we are going to create the application configuration for our existing application. So this is our existing application, and here it asks for the configuration ID. Okay, so we don't have a configuration as of yet. So I'm just giving the naming convention APPCFG for application configuration. Okay, then I click on new to create. Okay, now if you see here, this is the FPM application I have created for this particular component, right? So now I am within my application configuration. This, okay, here this application configuration now loads my WebDen Pro component. Okay, the WebDen Pro component which is going to get executed. Here I have to specify what are the UIBBs to load. That particular part I specify it in the component configuration. Okay, so we came here inside the application configuration. So we saw the WebDen Pro component to be loaded is being loaded. Now to this WebDen Pro component, actually I have to say these are the things you have to load. So how do I say that? I say it by creating a component configuration. Okay. So here I'm just going to assign a name and I'm going to create that configuration. So now I'm going to call it as a C component configuration, CPCFG. Okay. Now I click on this configuration name which I have assigned. Now since we haven't created this configuration, system should ideally show it does not exist if you want to create. Okay, it directly gone to the create configuration. Okay, just hold on. So now we have came inside our component configuration. Okay, now here in the component configuration, what you are seeing is called fluid flexible UI designer. Okay, now here in the navigation, you see the page ID and page title. Okay, I'm just going to change the title as OVP demo. Okay, now if you see here, we have general settings that is applicable for the whole component. Okay, then we have our preview window where we will be able to see whatever the layout which we are designing. Okay, and here in the overview page schema, you have something called section within which you are going to create your layouts. Okay, now what I'm going to do within the section 1, I'm going to add my search component. Okay, so click on the UIBB. Since I'm going to add my own component, I have to choose this freestyle component. Okay, here I'm specifying what is the component I have to load, and what is the interface view in that particular component I wanted to load. Okay, so I have loaded it. Now I'm going to create one more section, or you can do it all within the same session. Okay, that is up to you. Since I wanted to use all the type of element, I'm just going to create one more section. Here I specify my form component. Okay, I wanted to display my form component in the second section. Just give me one. Within the second section itself, I will display my table as well. Okay, I am adding one more UIBB to the second section, which is again a freestyle. Now the interface which we have implemented there, if I have not implemented there, then here you would get this error. Okay, it does not implement the valid interface error. Okay, so that's it, we are done with our OVP application. Okay, here in the component configuration, I have specified what I have specified is you create a layout with two sections. Okay, so if this is my browser window, I have specified to create a layout with two sections. In the first section, you display my search. In the second section, you display my form and table. So this is what I have specified in the component configuration. So when my application is loaded, I will load my default application configuration. This application configuration contains a default component configuration. Okay, this component configuration contains the information what it should load. Okay, so ideally when this FPM component gets executed, it will load the necessary information from here, then it will create the layout accordingly. So this is the information I have given. This is how the layout you have to create, and these are the components you have to use. So this component is designed in a way that it is capable of fetching this information and designing this layout. Okay, so that's the purpose of this one. So you can see it in the preview tab how we have generated the layout. Okay, so I have my section 1. Within this I have one UABB. In my section 2 I have 2. Okay, so you can just test it from here. Just select the additional functions and test. Okay, now if you see here, these two things came in panel. This one did not come in panel. The reason is that here for each and every UABB you have a set of attributes through which you could control how they should get displayed. Now when I selected this rendering type is without panel. Okay, that was the reason why it was not displaying in panel. So I'll just give it with panel. Okay, now this one got displayed with panel. Here you can control the way how these things tile should get displayed. Okay, like if it should get displayed like this, my search should get displayed like this, my form should get displayed in the one column, and the table should be displayed in the other column. Then what you have to do is you have to create a two column layout wherein the first row cells occupy the two columns and the second row each of them occupy one column. Okay, so to do that, what you have to do, you have to select the whole section. Okay, here is where I wanted to display this type of layout. So for the section attribute, if you see something called layout type, here you have the column partition. You wanted to split into three equal columns, or you wanted to split into two columns where both the columns are equal. This one depends upon the size. Whatever the size the column is, that occupies the size. Then you have this column splitting as 1 is to 3 and 2 is to 3. Then you have 2 is to 3 or 1 is to 3, or you have equal partition. You can specify two columns. Okay, so I want both the column stack. Now if you go here, I would have got one more option called column. Okay, now this one I wanted to be in the first column, and this one I wanted to be in the second column. Now if you see here in the preview, so my first section it is displayed to two blocks till the whole page is available. My second section I have split it into two pages. I mean two columns. Okay. Now, if I wanted to add one more UIBB, I can add it. Then I can specify that one to occupy the two columns. Okay. Okay, actually, there was some rendering issue with the server. Okay, that was why, even though it is showing us it is showing in the preview, right? Correctly, it is displayed into split into two particular things. Okay, due to the problem of rendering, it was not displaying for me as a 2-1. Okay, when you are trying it, you can try it out and just let me know. Okay, then this is something new. Actually, I was encountering it for the first time. Okay, page master area. Earlier, this was not part of OVP component. Okay, this was something newly added in this particular version. This is some version which is new. Okay, so this is nothing but what it will do is it will split the page. Okay, so I have created this page area. So while creating it, I have specified the position as left of the content area of the page. Okay, so what it does is it creates a partition in the left hand side of the page. Okay, so this is what this page master area does. Here basically what are the things you can do is you can construct a tree or a list for navigation. So when you select something here, then you can load it over here on the master page. Okay, so I just wanted to check why this is getting collapsed. So if in a page, if I have used one UIBB, I cannot use the same UIBB in the same page. I may be able to use it in some other pages. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove the form from my section 2 and I'm going to use it in the master page. Okay, so now within the master page, I want my see within master page only certain types of components are allowed, list or tree or freestyle, then analytics. Okay, here we haven't actually done much work at all we did is we had our WebDen Pro component. Using this OVP component, we only specified how it should get displayed. Okay, so that is what we have basically done. There are different ways. Okay, these three are our freestyle component, right? So I am free to write the code within this component. In the web, yeah, we should write it within the WebDen Pro component only. Here, this was only just configurations. Okay, here you don't do the coding part. So if I click on button here, search button. Okay, if I keep a search button here and if I click on display data here, now what will happen is the event loop which I have specified, right? the FPM interface event loop. So when I trigger the action, that FPM interface event loop will be called. Within the process event method, we have to write our codings. Okay, so that part I will tell you while we are learning the concept of communicating between the UIBBs. Okay, so we have some three types of approach. We can use this FPM event loop, or we can use singleton class, or there is something called wiring model. Okay, so you have any doubts with the OVP component? Okay, okay, sure. Okay, so with this we will finish our today's session. Tomorrow we will see OIAF and GAF. Okay, okay then. See you. Bye.